13. This will not be a funny book. I cannot tell jokes because I do not understand them. Here's a joke as an example. It is one of Father's. His face was drawn, but the curtains were real. I know why this is meant to be funny, I asked. It is because drawn has 3 meanings, and they are 1. Drawn with a pencil, 2. Exhausted, and 3. Pulled across a window, and meaning 1 refers to both the face and the curtains. Meaning 2 refers only to the face, and meaning 3 refers only to the curtains. If I try to say the joke to myself, making the word mean 3 different things at the same time, it's like hearing 3 different pieces of music at the same time, which is uncomfortable and confusing, and not nice like white noise. It is like 3 people trying to talk to you at the same time about different things. And that is why there are no jokes in this book. 17. The policeman looked at me for a while without speaking. Then he said, "I am arresting you for assaulting a police officer." This made me feel a lot calmer, because it is what a policeman would say on television and in films. Then he said, "I strongly advise you to get back in the police car, because if you try any of that monkey business again, I will seriously lose my rag. Is that understood?" I walked over to the police car, which was parked just outside the gate. He opened the back door and I got inside. He climbed into the driver's seat and made a call on his radio to the policewoman who was still inside the house. He said, "The little bugger just had a pop at me, Kate. Can you hang on with Mrs. S while I drop him off at the station? I'll get Tony to swing by and give you up." And she said, "Sure, I'll catch you later." The policeman said, "Okie doke," and we drove off. The police car smelled of hot plastic and aftershave and takeaway chips. I watched the sky as we drove towards the town center. It was a clear night, and you could see the Milky Way. Some people think the Milky Way is a long line of stars, but it isn't. Our galaxy is a huge disk of stars, millions of light years across, and the solar system is somewhere near the outside of the edge of the disk. When you look in direction A, at 90 degrees to the disk, you don't see many stars. But when you look in direction B, you see lots more stars, because you're looking into the main body of the galaxy. And because the galaxy is a disk, you see a stripe of stars. And then I thought about how, for a long time, scientists were puzzled by the fact that the sky is dark at night, even though there are billions of stars in the universe. There must be stars in every direction you look, so the sky should be full of starlight, because there is very little in the way to stop the light reaching the earth. Then they worked out that the universe was expanding. The stars were all rushing away from one another after the Big Bang, and the further the stars were away from us, the faster they were moving. Some of them nearly as fast as the speed of light, which is why their light never reached us. I like this fact. It is something you can work out in your mind, just by looking at the sky above your head at night, and thinking without having to ask anyone. And when the universe was finished exploding, all the stars will slow down, like a ball that has been thrown into the air, and they will come to a halt, and they will all begin to fall towards the center of the universe again. And then there will be nothing to stop us seeing all the stars in the world, because they will all be moving towards us, gradually faster and faster, and we will know that the world is going to end soon, because when we look up into the sky at night, there will be no darkness, just the blazing light of billions and billions of stars, all falling. Except that no one will see this, because there will be no people left on Earth to see it. They will probably have become extinct by then. And even if there are people still in existence, they will not see it because the light will be so bright and so hot that everyone will be burnt to death, even if they live in tunnels. 19. Chapters in books are usually given the cardinal numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. But I have decided to give my chapters prime numbers: 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and so on, because I like prime numbers. This is how you work out what prime numbers are. First, you write down all the positive whole numbers in the world. Then you take away all the numbers that are multiples of 2. Then you take away all the numbers that are multiples of 3. Then you take away all the numbers that are multiples of 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and so on. The numbers that are left are the prime numbers. The rule for working out prime numbers is really simple, but no one has ever worked out a simple formula for telling you whether a very big number is a prime number or what the next one will be. If a number is really, really big, it can take a computer years to work out whether it's a prime number. Prime numbers are useful for writing codes, and in America, they are classed as military material. And if you find one over 100 digits long, you have to tell the CIA, and they buy it off you for $10,000. But it would not be a very good way of making a living. Prime numbers are what is left when you have taken all the patterns away. I think prime numbers are like life. They are very logical, but you could never work out the rules, even if you spent all your time thinking about them. 23. When I got to the police station, they made me take the laces out of my shoes and empty my pockets at the front desk in case I had anything in them that I could use to kill myself or escape or attack a policeman with. The sergeant behind the desk had very hairy hands, and he had bitten his nails so much that they had bled. This is what I had in my pockets. 1. A Swiss Army knife with 13 attachments, including a wire stripper and a saw and a toothpick and tweezers. 2. A piece of string. 3. A piece of a wooden puzzle which looked like this. 4. 3 pellets of rat food for Toby, my rat. 5. 147. This was made up of 1 pound coins, a 20-pence coin, 2 10-pence coins, a 5-pence coin, and 2-pence coin. 6. A red paper clip. 7. A key for the front door. Pence, by the way. I was also wearing my watch, and they wanted me to leave this at the desk as well. But I said that I needed to keep my watch on because I needed to know exactly what time it was. And when they tried to take it off me, I screamed, so they let me keep it on. They asked me if I had any family. I said I did. They asked me who my family was. I said it was father, but mother was dead. And I said it was also Uncle Terry, but he was in Sunderland, and he was father's brother. And it was my grandparents too, but 3 of them were dead. And Grandma Burton was in the home because she had senile dementia and thought I was someone on television. Then they asked me for father's phone number. I told them that he had 2 numbers, one for at home and one which was a mobile phone, and I said both of them. It was nice in the police cell. It was almost a perfect cube, 2 meters long by 2 meters wide by 2 meters high. It contained approximately 8 cubic meters of air. It had a very small window with bars, and on the opposite side, a metal door with a long, thin hatch near the floor for sliding trays of food into the cell, and a gliding hatch higher up so that policemen could look in and check that prisoners hadn't escaped or committed suicide. There was also a padded bench. I wondered how I would escape if I was in a story. It would be difficult because the only things I had were my clothes and my shoes, which had no laces in them. I decided that my best plan would be to wait for a really sunny day and then use my glasses to focus the sunlight on a piece of my clothing and start a fire. I would then make my escape when they saw the smoke and took me out of the cell. And if they didn't notice, I would be able to wheel on the clothes and put them out. I wondered whether Mrs. Shears had told the police that I had killed Wellington, and whether, when the police found out that she had lied, she would go to prison. Because telling lies about people is called slander. 29. I find people confusing. This is for 2 main reasons. The first main reason is that people do a lot of talking without any words. Chabon says that if you raise one eyebrow, it can mean lots of different things. It can mean, I want to do sex with you, and it can also mean, I think that what you just said was very stupid. Sharon also said that if you close your mouth and breathe out loudly through your nose, it can mean that you were relaxed, that you were bored, or that you were angry, and it all depends on how much air comes out of your nose and how fast and what shape your mouth is when you do it, and how you were sitting and what you said just before, and hundreds of other things that are too complicated to work out in a few seconds. The second main reason is that people often talk using metaphors. These are examples of metaphors. I laughed my socks off. He was the apple of her eye. They had a skeleton in the cupboard. We had a real pig of a day. The dog was stone dead. The word metaphor means carrying something from one place to another, and it comes from Greek words, which means from one place to another, and which means to carry. It is when you describe something by using a word for something that it isn't. That means that the word metaphor is a metaphor. I think it should be called a lie, because a pig is not like a day. People do not have skeletons in their cupboards. And when I try and make a picture of the phrase in my head, it just confuses me, because imagining an apple in someone's eye doesn't have anything to do with liking someone, and it makes you forget what the person was talking about. My name is a metaphor. It means carrying Christ, and it comes from the Greek words, which means Jesus Christ. It has the same name given to St. Christopher, because he carried Jesus Christ across the river. This makes you wonder what he was called before he carried Christ along the river. But he wasn't called anything, because this is an apocryphal story, which means that it's a lie too. Mother used to say that it meant Christopher was a nice name, because it was a story about being kind and helpful. But I do not want my name to mean a story about being kind and helpful. I want my name to mean me.